25 years of marriage ended the moment I read her hidden journals. What my wife wrote about our son made me realize I've been sleeping next to a stranger. Some secrets destroy more than trust. They destroy everything you thought you knew about the person you loved. My name is Derek Whitmore. I'm 48 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had life figured out. I worked as an engineering manager at Precision Components, a manufacturing plant outside Cleveland. Good job, steady paycheck, benefits that kept our family comfortable. My wife, Grace, ran a small yoga studio downtown. We had 3 kids. Ethan, 24, working in marketing. Claire, 16, our firecracker daughter. And Liam, 11, our youngest who's on the autism spectrum and needs routine more than most kids. From the outside, we look perfect. Nice house, 2 cars, annual vacations. But somewhere along the way, Grace changed. She started talking about feeling stuck, invisible. I figured it was midlife stuff. Everyone goes through it. Then came the tennis lessons. Last spring, Grace joined Riverside Tennis Club and started taking private lessons with Kyle Maddox, 32 years old, former college player, all confidence and charm. She'd come home flushed and excited, talking about her backhand. I was happy she found something she enjoyed. I even encouraged it. That's the part that haunts me. I handed her the excuse. By summer, lessons increased to 5 times a week. Grace bought expensive rackets, new outfits, lost weight. When I questioned it, she'd snap, saying I was controlling, that I never supported her. So I backed off. Big mistake. After my wife returned from that wellness retreat in August, supposedly a week-long yoga thing in Arizona, she came back with something I didn't expect. It wasn't just new confidence or the way she looked through me instead of at me. It was the coldness, the distance, like the woman I married had been replaced by a stranger wearing her face. That's when I asked her to leave, though she didn't go quietly. She laughed, told me I was imagining things. But I wasn't imagining the men's watch in her gym bag, or the hotel receipt from Scottsdale with 2 dinners charged to the room, or the text at 2 in the morning. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. When I confronted her, Grace didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. She just looked at me with cold eyes and said, "You made me feel invisible for years, Derek." He sees me. That's when I knew the battle had been raging for months, and I'd been too blind to notice. What followed was a war I never wanted but couldn't afford to lose. Not with my kids watching. Not with everything on the line. Grace didn't leave that night. Instead, she moved through our house like she owned the place, and I was the intruder. She made coffee the next morning, sat at the kitchen table scrolling through her phone, completely unbothered. When I walked in, she didn't even look up. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Grace sighed like I was interrupting something important. "About what, Derek?" "Your paranoia." "About Kyle," I said. That got her attention. She set down her phone, leaned back at her chair, and studied me with those cold eyes. "What about him?" she asked. "You're sleeping with him," I stated flatly. Grace laughed. Actually laughed. "You're being ridiculous." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot I'd taken of her text messages before she could delete them. Messages to Kyle. Planning meetups. Complaining about me. One message read, "He suspects nothing. We're good for Tuesday." The smile disappeared from Grace's face. "You went through my phone? That's a violation of my privacy, Derek." "Your privacy?" I felt my anger rising, but kept my voice level. "You're my wife. We don't have separate lives. Or we didn't until you decided to start one without telling me." Grace stood up, grabbed her coffee mug. "I'm not doing this right now," she said, walking toward the stairs. "Yes, you are," I said, blocking her path. "I'm 6'2" and work construction before moving into management. Grace is 5'6". She stopped. "You owe me an explanation. You owe our kids an explanation." "Don't bring the kids into this," Grace snapped. "This is between us. Everything we do affects them." I shot back. "Ethan's already asking questions. Claire heard us arguing last night. And Liam." I stopped, took a breath. "Liam needs stability. You know what happens when his routine gets disrupted." Grace's expression softened slightly. Our youngest son was her weakness, the one crack in her armor. "I'm not trying to hurt Liam," she said quietly. "Then stop this," I said. "And whatever this is with Kyle, we can work through this. Get counseling. Fix what's broken." For a moment, I thought she might actually consider it. Then her face hardened again. "You can't fix what was never there, Derek." We've been going through the motions for years. I'm tired of pretending. So you'd rather blow up our family? I asked. 25 years, 3 kids, everything we built. You'd rather destroy it all for some tennis instructor half your age? Grace's eyes flashed with fury. He makes me feel alive. Something you stopped doing a long time ago. When? I demanded. When did I stop? Because I've been going to work every day, paying the bills, being here for you and the kids. What exactly did I do wrong? That's the problem, Grace said, her voice rising. You don't even see it. You're so focused on being the provider, the responsible one, that you forgot to be my husband. When's the last time we went on a date? When's the last time you looked at me like I was more than just the woman who cooks your dinner? Her words hit harder than I expected. Maybe there was some truth there, but it didn't justify what she'd done. So instead of talking to me about it, you started sleeping with someone else? I asked. Grace looked away. I needed to feel something. That's when Ethan walked into the kitchen. Our oldest son stood in the doorway, looking between us. What's going on? He asked. Grace and I both went silent. Ethan wasn't stupid. He was 24, had his own apartment, but came by most mornings before work. He'd obviously heard enough. Mom, Ethan said, looking at Grace. What's Dad talking about? Grace's face changed completely. The cold mask dropped, replaced by something softer, wounded. Your father is accusing me of something I didn't do, she said, her voice trembling slightly. He's been so stressed lately, and I think he's taking it out on me. I stared at her in disbelief. She was lying, right to our son's face. That's not true, I said. Ethan, your mother has been having an affair. Ethan looked between us, confusion and pain crossing his face. I can't. He turned and walked out. Grace followed him, calling his name. I stood alone in the kitchen, feeling the foundation of my family shifting beneath my feet. I found Ethan sitting in his car in the driveway, head in his hands. I knocked on the window. He looked up, eyes red, and unlocked the door. I slid into the passenger seat. Is it true? Ethan asked. Is Mom really? Yes, I said. There was no point sugarcoating it. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Ethan leaned back, staring at the ceiling of his car. How long? I don't know exactly. Months, maybe longer. And you're sure? Like you have proof. I showed him my phone. The screenshots, the hotel receipt, everything I'd found. Ethan scrolled through them, his jaw tightening with each image. When he finished, he handed the phone back. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going to protect this family, I said. That means protecting you, Claire, and especially Liam. Your mother can do what she wants, but she's not going to destroy what we've built. Ethan nodded slowly. Dad, I need to tell you something. Last week, I stopped by the house when you were at work. Mom wasn't here, but her car was. I thought maybe she was at the studio, but when I drove past there, it was closed. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now it makes sense. I finished. Yeah, Ethan said. I'm sorry. I should have said something. You didn't know. I told him. But I need you now. Claire and Liam are going to need their older brother. Can I count on you? Ethan met my eyes. Always, Dad. We went back inside together. Grace was in the living room. Phone pressed to her ear. When she saw us, she quickly ended the call. Ethan, honey, let me explain. Don't, Ethan said, his voice cold. I saw the messages. Dad, show me everything. Grace's face shifted. He had no right to drag you into this. You dragged us all into it when you started sleeping around. Ethan shot back. I'd never heard him speak to his mother like that. Grace's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. Your father. I understand plenty. Ethan interrupted. I understand that Dad's been working his tail off for this family, while you've been playing tennis with some guy half your age. I understand that Claire's been crying herself to sleep because she can hear you two fighting. And I understand that Liam's been having meltdowns at school because his routine's been disrupted. So yeah, Mom, I understand. Grace looked at me, then back at Ethan. You've turned him against me, she said to me. I didn't have to, I replied. You did that yourself. Grace grabbed her purse and keys. I'm not staying here to be ganged up on, she said, heading for the door. Where are you going? I asked. Somewhere I'm appreciated, she said, and slammed the door behind her. Ethan and I stood in silence. After a moment, he said, She's going to him, isn't she? Probably, I admitted. What now? Now, I said, I call a lawyer. I contacted Richard Hammond, a divorce attorney my brother had recommended years ago. Hammond was in his 60s, been practicing family law for 30 years. He'd seen it all. His office was downtown, fourth floor of an old brick building. When I walked in Tuesday morning, Hammond's secretary showed me straight back. The attorney stood to shake my hand, tall, gray-haired, firm grip. "Derek Whitmore," he said. "Your brother mentioned you might be calling. Sit down and tell me what's going on." I laid it all out. The affair, the lies, the evidence I'd collected. Hammond took notes, asked questions, didn't show much emotion. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "First thing you need to understand," Hammond said, "is that Ohio is a no-fault divorce state. That means the affair doesn't matter as much as you'd think for the divorce itself. But it matters a lot for custody and asset division, especially if we can show she was spending marital funds on the affair." "The hotel in Scottsdale was charged to our joint credit card," I said. Hammond nodded. "That helps. Now, tell me about your kids. Ages, special needs. Who's the primary caregiver?" I explained about Liam's autism, his need for stability, the fact that I'd been just as involved in his care as Grace had been. "I can't let her take him," I said. "A custody battle, moving between houses, it would destroy him." "We'll fight for primary custody," Hammond said. "With Liam's condition and your wife's current instability, we've got a strong case. But Derek, I need to warn you. This is going to get ugly. When affairs come to light, the cheating spouse often doubles down. She'll try to make you the villain." "She already started," I said, thinking about how she'd lied to Ethan. "Then we need to move fast," Hammond said. "I'll file the paperwork today. We'll request temporary custody, freeze joint accounts, and get a restraining order if necessary. I don't want her completely out of the kids' lives," I said. "They need their mother." Hammond gave me a long look. "That's noble of you, Derek. But right now, you need to think about protecting yourself and those kids. Your wife has already shown she's willing to lie and manipulate. Don't assume she won't do worse when her back's against the wall." I left Hammond's office with a folder full of documents to sign and a sick feeling in my stomach. This was really happening. 25 years of marriage, ending in a lawyer's office. Grace came back 3 days later. She walked in like nothing had happened, started making dinner. I was in my home office when Claire knocked on the door. "Dad, can we talk?" My 16-year-old daughter stood in the doorway, arms crossed, looking smaller than usual. "Always," I said, closing my laptop. "What's up?" Claire sat down in the chair across from my desk. "Kids at school are talking," she said quietly. "About Mom." My chest tightened. "What are they saying?" "That she's been seen with some guy at the tennis club. That they're always together, holding hands, stuff like that." Claire's voice was shaking. "Sarah Peterson's mom goes to the same club. She told Sarah, and Sarah told everyone else. Now people are asking me if my parents are getting divorced. I wanted to shield her from this, but she deserved the truth. Your mom and I are having serious problems," I said. "I've talked to a lawyer." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Is it because of the tennis guy?" "His name is Kyle," I said. "And yes, that's part of it. I hate her," Claire said suddenly, wiping her eyes. "I hate her for doing this to us. To you. To Liam." "Claire." "No, Dad, I mean it. Do you know what it's like at school? Everyone's whispering, staring at me. Yesterday, Brittany James asked if my mom was having a midlife crisis. I didn't know what to say. I came around the desk and sat next to her. "I'm sorry you're going through this. None of this is your fault." "It's not yours either," Claire said fiercely. "Mom's the one who messed up. Why'd she get to act like everything's fine?" Before I could answer, we heard raised voices downstairs. Ethan and Grace were arguing. "Claire," and I went to the top of the stairs. "You have no right to be here," Ethan was saying. "That's my son." Ethan speaking to his mother, Grace. "This is my house," Grace responded. That's Grace talking back to her son. "Not anymore, it's not." Ethan shot back. "Dad's got a lawyer. You're going to lose everything." "Ethan, please." Grace's voice softened. "Don't," Ethan said. "Don't try to manipulate me. I know what you've been doing. We all know." Claire gripped my arm. I could feel her trembling. This was exactly what I've been trying to avoid. Our kids caught in the middle, forced to choose sides. I went downstairs. Claire followed. "That's enough," I said, my voice calm but firm. Grace turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Derek, please. Tell them I'm still their mother. Tell them I love them. Then act like it," I said. Act like their mother instead of a woman who's willing to destroy their family for an affair. Grace's expression shifted from hurt to anger. You're turning them against me, she accused. I don't have to, I said. You did that yourself. Ethan saw the evidence. Claire's being bullied at school because of you. And Liam. I stopped, took a breath. Liam had a meltdown at school yesterday. His teacher called me. He's been acting out, regressing. You know what triggers that? Grace's face went pale. I need to see him. He's at a therapy session, I said. One I scheduled because you've been too busy with Kyle to notice your son falling apart. That hit home. Grace looked at Ethan, then Claire, then back at me. I never wanted this, she said quietly. Then you shouldn't have done it, Claire said, her voice cold. That's my daughter Claire speaking to her mother. Grace grabbed her purse and left. This time, she didn't slam the door. Hammond called me Friday afternoon. Derek, we need to talk. In person. Can you come to my office? I arrived 30 minutes later. Hammond's expression was grim. He slid a stack of bank statements across his desk. We ran a full financial audit like I said we would, Hammond explained. Your wife's been busy. I picked up the first statement. It was for an account I'd never seen before, a savings account at a different bank, opened 4 years ago. Grace's name only. The balance made my stomach drop. $127,000. Where did this come from? I asked. Transfers from your joint checking account, Hammond said. Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there. Nothing that would raise flags. But over 4 years, it adds up. There's more. He showed me credit card statements. Charges I didn't recognize. Hotel rooms, expensive dinners, gifts. All on our cards. She's been funding this affair with marital assets, Hammond said. That's good for us. Shows financial infidelity, alongside the regular kind. I flipped through the statements, feeling sick. For years. She'd been planning this for 4 years. There's something else, Hammond said. She withdrew $20,000 from that secret account 2 weeks ago. Cash withdrawal. Any idea what that was for? I shook my head. My guess. She's preparing to run, Hammond said. Getting liquid assets together. Derek, I need you to freeze everything. Joint accounts, credit cards, all of it. Today. What about her access to money? I asked. She'll need. She's got $100 grand hidden away, Hammond interrupted. She'll be fine. But we need to protect your assets before she drains them completely. I signed the paperwork. By 5 o'clock, all joint accounts were frozen. I was clearing out the garage on Sunday, looking for old tax documents Hammond had requested, when I found the boxes. 3 cardboard boxes labeled Grace College, in her handwriting, stacked in the back corner behind the Christmas decorations. I almost left them alone, but something made me pull one down. Inside were journals. Dozens of them, dating back to our early marriage. I knew I shouldn't read them. They were private, but after everything that had happened, I needed to understand. I needed to know if there was ever a time when Grace actually loved me, or if I'd been fooling myself for 25 years. I opened the most recent one, dated from 3 years ago. The entries started normal enough. Complaints about our studio, notes about the kids, grocery lists. Then I found an entry from April, 3 years back. I've been thinking about leaving Derek for months now. Maybe years, if I'm honest with myself. I love him, I suppose, but I'm not in love with him. Haven't been for a long time. But the kids need stability, and I need his income. The studio barely breaks even. If I leave now, I'll have nothing. So I wait. I smile. I play the good wife. And I plan. My hand shook as I turned the pages. More entries. All in the same vein. She wrote about meeting Kyle 2 years ago at a charity tennis tournament. How attractive she found him. How young he made her feel. She wrote about their first kiss, their first time together. She described it in detail. Detail I didn't need to read but couldn't stop reading. But the worst part came near the end. An entry from 6 months ago. Derek suspects something, I think. He's been watching me more carefully, asking questions. I need to be smarter about this. Kyle and I agreed to be more discreet. The wellness retreat will be perfect. Derek will think I'm doing yoga while Kyle and I have a whole week together in Scottsdale. I've been transferring money to my separate account for years now. Almost $130,000. When I'm ready to leave, I'll have enough to start over. Maybe Kyle and I will move to California. Start fresh. Away from Derek's suffocating stability and the constant demands of the kids. Liam especially. I love him, but being his mother is exhausting. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if he'd been normal. I stopped reading. My vision blurred. She'd written that about our son. Our boy who trusted her completely, who needed her. I felt rage building, hot and consuming. I took the journals inside. Ethan was in the kitchen making lunch. I dropped them on the counter in front of him. "Read these," I said. "That's me, Derek, speaking to my son Ethan." "Dad, what?" Ethan started. "That's Ethan responding. Just read them, especially the last one. You need to know who your mother really is." I called Hammond. "I found something," I said. "Grace's journals. She's been planning this for years. It's all written down, the affair, the secret bank account, everything." "Bring them to my office first thing tomorrow," Hammond said. "This is exactly what we need. Derek, with this evidence, we can push for full custody. The journals show premeditation, financial deception, and did she write anything about the kids? She called taking care of Liam exhausting. Said she wondered what her life would be like if he'd been normal." Hammond was quiet for a moment. "A judge will see that, especially with Liam's special needs. Derek, I think we're going to win this." That night, Ethan came into my room. He'd been crying. "I read them, Dad. All of them. How could she—" His voice split. "How could she say those things about Liam?" I put my arm around my son. "I don't know, but we're going to protect him. All of you. I promise." Grace found out about the journals on Tuesday. I don't know how. Maybe Ethan confronted her, or maybe she just noticed they were missing from the garage. Either way, she showed up at the house that evening with her father, Judge Howard Hawkins. I'd met Grace's father maybe 20 times in 25 years. He was a circuit court judge, semi-retired now, but still carried the authority of someone used to having the final word. He was 72, silver-haired, imposing. "Derek," Judge Hawkins said when I opened the door. "That's Grace's father speaking to me. We need to talk. May we come in?" I stepped aside. Grace followed her father into the living room, staying close to him like a shield. She looked different, smaller, more fragile. She'd been crying. "I understand you've retained Richard Hammond as your attorney," Judge Hawkins began. "That's the judge speaking again." "That's right," I said. "That's me responding. And I understand you've taken certain items that belong to my daughter. Personal journals. They were in my garage. In my house. They're still her property," Judge Hawkins said. His voice was measured, controlled. "Derek, I'm going to be frank with you. This situation has gotten out of hand. Grace made a mistake, yes. But you're escalating this unnecessarily. Freezing bank accounts, turning the children against her, stealing her private writings." "Stealing," I interrupted. "She stole over $100,000 from our joint account over 4 years. She funded an affair with our money. She wrote in those journals that she wished our son was normal." "Don't talk to me about theft." Grace flinched. Judge Hawkins's expression hardened. "Those journals were never meant to be read by anyone else. People write things in private that they don't mean." "She meant every word," I said. "And a judge will see that. A real judge, not one who's trying to protect his daughter." "I'm trying to protect my family," Judge Hawkins said, voice rising slightly. "Which includes my grandchildren. Derek, I'm prepared to make you an offer. Drop the custody fight. Agree to joint custody, 50-50, and we'll settle the financial matters fairly. Grace will return the money she transferred, and you'll return the journals. We can end this civilly." "No," I said simply. "Derek," I said no. "Your daughter has been lying to me for years. She's been planning to abandon this family. She's called our autistic son exhausting and wished he was different. I'm not giving her the chance to hurt these kids any more than she already has." Judge Hawkins stood. "Then you leave me no choice. I have connections in this city, Derek. Family court judges who respect my opinion. Colleagues who owe me favors. You're an engineer at a manufacturing plant. I'm a retired circuit court judge with 40 years of experience. Who do you think they'll believe?" "The one with evidence," I said, meeting his stare. Grace finally spoke. "Derek, please. I never meant. The journals were just. I was venting. I love my kids. I love Liam. You have to believe me." That's Grace speaking to me, trying to sound sincere. "I don't have to believe anything," I said. "And after 25 years of believing your lies, I'm done." Judge Hawkins moved toward the door. "You're making a mistake. This is going to get very ugly." "It already is," I said. "You just didn't notice until your daughter started losing." They left. I locked the door behind them and leaned against it, my heart pounding. I just declared war on a judge. but I meant every word. The custody hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in late November. I wore my best suit, arrived early with Hammond. The courthouse was old, smelled like floor polish and paperwork. Grace was already there with her attorney, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s that Judge Hawkins had recommended. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom. Grace wouldn't look at me. She lost weight, looked tired. Part of me felt bad for her. The other part remembered what she'd written about Liam. The judge was a woman named Patricia Reynolds, mid-60s, reputation for being fair but tough. She reviewed the case file for several minutes before looking up. "This is a custody hearing regarding 3 minor children," Judge Reynolds began. "Though I note that the oldest, Ethan, is 24 and not subject to custody arrangements. We're here to determine custody of Claire, age 16, and Liam, age 11. Let's begin." Grace's attorney went first. She painted a picture of Grace as a devoted mother who'd made a mistake but deserved forgiveness. She talked about Grace's yoga studio, her involvement in the kids' lives, her remorse over the affair. Then Hammond stood up. He was methodical, precise. He presented the bank statements showing Grace had stolen over $100,000. He showed the hotel receipts proving the affair had been going on for at least 2 years. Then he brought out the journals. "Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence several diary entries written by Mrs. Whitmore," Hammond said. "That's my attorney Hammond speaking to the judge." Grace's attorney objected. "Those are private writings, Your Honor. They were never intended to be seen by anyone. They're relevant to the question of Mrs. Whitmore's fitness as a parent," Hammond countered. That's Hammond responding. Judge Reynolds allowed it. Hammond read selected passages aloud. The courtroom went silent as Grace's own words condemned her. When he reached the part about Liam, about wishing he was normal, I heard Grace's sharp intake of breath. "I'd also like to call Ethan Whitmore to the stand," Hammond said. My son stood, walked to the witness stand. He looked at his mother once, then away. "Ethan, can you describe your mother's behavior over the past 6 months?" Hammond asked. That's Hammond questioning my son, Ethan. "She's been distant," Ethan said. "Gone a lot. When she was home, she was distracted, always on her phone. My younger siblings noticed. Claire asked me if Mom still loved us." That's Ethan testifying. "And what about Liam? How has he been affected?" "He's been having meltdowns at school. His teacher called Dad several times. Mom didn't seem to notice or care. She was too busy with her tennis lessons." Grace's attorney tried to paint Ethan as biased, but he held firm. When it was over, Hammond called me to the stand. I testified about finding the evidence, about Grace's lies, about Liam's regression. I kept my voice steady, stuck to facts. When Grace's attorney tried to suggest I was being vindictive, I looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor, I don't want to punish Grace," I said. "I want to protect my children. Liam needs stability and routine. Claire needs a parent she can trust. They both need to know that at least one of their parents puts them first." That's me, Derek, testifying. Judge Reynolds took a recess to review everything. 2 hours later, she returned with her decision. "I've reviewed all the evidence presented," Judge Reynolds said. "Mrs. Whitmore, your actions show a pattern of deception and prioritizing your personal desires over your children's needs. Mr. Whitmore, you've demonstrated stability and commitment to your children's well-being. Therefore, I'm granting primary physical custody to Mr. Whitmore. Mrs. Whitmore, you'll have supervised visitation every other weekend until we can reassess in 6 months." Grace started crying. Her attorney put a hand on her shoulder. I felt relief wash over me. Outside the courthouse, Ethan hugged me. "You did it, Dad," he said. "That's my son speaking to me." "We did it," I corrected. That's me responding to Ethan. 3 months later, life had settled into a new rhythm. Claire was doing better at school. The bullying had stopped once everyone moved on to the next scandal. Liam's meltdowns had decreased significantly now that his routine was stable again. Ethan stopped by most evenings to help with dinner or just hang out. Grace had moved in with Kyle. According to Ethan, who still talked to her occasionally, things weren't going well. Kyle was younger, less mature than she'd imagined. The romance was fading into reality, and reality wasn't pretty. I was in the kitchen making breakfast one Saturday morning when Liam came downstairs. He sat at the table, watching me cook pancakes. "Dad," Liam said. "That's my youngest son speaking to me." "Yeah, buddy," I responded while flipping pancakes. "Is Mom ever coming back?" I turned off the stove, sat down next to him. Not to live here, no. But you'll still see her. She's still your mom. I know, Liam said. But it's better here. With you. Everything's the same. I like the same. Me too, buddy, I said, ruffling his hair. That afternoon, I took all 3 kids to the park. Claire brought a friend. Ethan brought his girlfriend. Liam brought his tablet and sat on a bench, content to watch videos while the rest of us walked around the lake. You doing okay, Dad? Claire asked as we walked. That's my daughter asking me. I'm getting there, I said honestly. That's me answering Claire. Some days are harder than others. But we're going to be fine. Better than fine, Claire said, linking her arm through mine. We've got each other. She was right. Grace had tried to destroy our family, but what she'd actually done was show us what really mattered. Not the perfect house or the perfect marriage. Just being there for each other. Showing up. Telling the truth. I'd lost my wife, but I'd gained something more valuable. The respect of my children and the knowledge that I'd fought for them when it mattered most. As we walked back to the car, my phone buzzed. A text from Hammond. Final divorce decree signed. House and primary assets awarded to you. Congratulations, Derek. I looked at my kids, all 3 of them laughing at something Ethan said, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace.